Hello everyone, my name is Mohammad Tanzim Rashid. My student ID is 10553141 and today I'll be presenting my assignment 3 on accessibility and security based on the website that I have created in creating web application course. So before we get on to our demonstration and code, let us go over the principles of WCAG. For people who don't know what it stands for, it's a web-centered accessibility guidelines. It has four principles. The first is perceivability. So in order to increase the perceivability of my website, I have used label association and semantic HTML. What it does is basically it creates a lot of groups with labels so that it's easy to identify the inputs and outputs that are coming and going out. And also semantic HTML reduces a lot of redundancy and it makes the code more compact. So like for operability, I have added a navigation bar as a menu for the user so that they can jump around from one page to other very swiftly. As for understandability, I have added some placeholders and requirement fields in inquiry and payment section that are very necessary for us to have in order to proceed with the payment and also to carry out the transaction basically. So, in order to maintain the robustness of my web pages, I've used valid HTML5. What it does is like it reduces redundancy same as semantic HTML coding, except like using this, we can avoid a lot of misuse of syntax and stuff. Okay, so these are the accessibility techniques that I have applied, and also when I'm demonstrating, I'll go over the errors if there's any in the page using wave extension in the Firefox Mozilla. And I've tried to make all my web pages modular in structure so that it's very symmetric and easy to navigate through. I've used multiple INC files such as header, footer, and menu. So in a way that it's easier for me to identify any errors if there's any, or to also modify in future if I have to. So another thing that we focus in this course is the OWASP, which stands for Open Web Application Security Project. Basically, they publish top 10 reasons behind why information gets leaked from web pages and a lot of other bad malpractices that cause a lot of these issues. So the two things that I focus from this section are SQL injection and insecure design. I try to make sure that the connection between my PHP and MySQL database is secure and there is no sort of errors forming and stuff. So in order to do that, I use PDO syntax, which is portable distributed objects. This kind of restricts a lot of SQL injections and makes it more secure. And also to make sure that my design was not insecure, I had to make sure that like the groups and the levels that I am creating during my coding doesn't have any sort of open end distribution system. So yeah, I mostly try to focus on that these two sections. All right, so let's move on to our code. So we can go over it a little bit. So yeah, if we go over our inquire PHP, we can see that we're collecting data using inquire form, but I have used no validate so that no sort of client-side validation is active anymore. All this validation will be done in the server side. So what I did basically using this is I stopped all the JavaScript process like enhancements that I have added in my assignment too. Other than that, I haven't changed much. I just added the level for my quantity C and stuff like that so that it's much more coherent and easier to change later on if there need be. Okay, so now moving on to our payment PHP. By the way, the information that we gather from the user in Inquiry PHP will directly go to payment PHP as a session storage, and some of the files, such as the name in the card section, will be filled up from the data that we collect from Inquiry PHP. The other thing that I've added here is like a table for the inquiry summary that will hold all the information of the user that he have already provided to us. I didn't have this before, so I added this. And now moving on to process order PHP. So the user won't be able to observe this process PHP. The main function of this PHP code is to take all the information from inquiry page and the payment PHP section and send them directly to my SQL database through a SQL query. I have made a SQL query. Yeah. So using this section, all the data is gonna be sent directly to the database. And one more thing that I have done here is make it so that the data goes twice. Once it will go to the database, and the other time it will go to the manager PHP, so that the manager and the database have the same kind of table and same information in them. Yeah. And I have used PDO here since since this is the section from where my PHP connects to the SQL database and like all the data is transmitted. Now moving on to my receipt page. This page is not directly accessible for the user. If they try to access this, they will be redirected to inquiry if they haven't filled that up. They have to fill the inquiry payment, and if the payment is successful, they will be taken to the receipt page. If not, it will show error and the user has to go back and fix all of them. So also, yeah, that's it for the recent section. I'll show more during the demonstration. And now this is the manager PHP. All the query orders that has been sent to the database will also be here. And we can sort out this data to ascending order or like searching names or portions of the names. I will describe them as I'm demonstrating it now. Okay. So this is my page. Okay. As we go along, we'll do this, like we'll use the extension of wave to check if there's any sort of errors. As you can see, there's no errors, no contrast errors. Sometimes you'll find some contrast error because like the colors I'm using is not most optimal. So this is something that I might uh, work on later on. So this enhanced, I'll go over this later. For manager, we'll go over later. So let's try to put values in here and try to make a payment. So all the data we're collecting here will go to our payment page, as you can see, if there's no error. And then from here, you can select whatever is the right one you feel. You can just select. I'm just randomly selecting this to go on. You can see the order went through. It went to my PHP admin database, and all of this is showing to the user. You can see the user has like an ID here and quality and quantity. And another thing that I've added as enhancement is like it will show how much quantity you have. So if it's like below five, uh, it will basically take 3 to 4 days. But if it's more than that, it will take like around 10 days. Yeah. The other thing is like you saw uh, a QR code. So this is a fun thing that I've added, like in an ironic sense, because like a lot of these online shops is like if you order sometimes if you're not sure, you might get robbed of your data and other stuff. So you have to be really careful. All right, so this is my order management admin panel for the manager. You can see he can change it to wherever he likes. He can archive it, and it will just appear here. If he wants to type Tanzim and see, like he can get every section of the names where they have Tanzim. Can go from cost. You can see, can reduce it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my enhancements. And so, all right. So moving on to the summary. I had to really work on the form handling and making sure all the IDs have the same syntax and it doesn't mismatch or so. And also server-side validation, making sure the client-side validation is not working anymore, and that it also took a lot of time. I have a lot more references, but the one I really had to give out is this one, The Joy of PHP. I read this book from my library in university. It was really good. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you, guys.